Okay, really impressed with Texas Tech's football team. A lot of talent on that roster, very well coached. Played a really good game against us on Saturday, so give them a ton of credit. Um, we were not real good on offense, needless to say. Didn't score enough points, didn't run the ball well, didn't throw the ball well, didn't convert third downs, and or fourth downs for that matter, and turned the ball over 4 times, which is really the most telling stat. And you can't play a team of that caliber, turn the ball over 4 times, and hope to have much of a chance to win. So that was disappointing. We'd been taking care of the football first 3 games very well and moving the ball very well, but just got bogged down, never got into any sort of rhythm on Saturday. And again, a great deal of their credit, and the reason for that is the way they played defense. I was very proud of our defense for 3.5 quarters until we just couldn't finish the way we wanted to. Defense battled some ridiculous field positions. 7 of their 14 possessions started at the plus or the minus 44 or better for Texas Tech, and that's a stress on the defense. And I thought they held up exceptionally well all through it until the very end. And so disappointed in that. I mean, our defense, takes a lot of pride in what they do, as does our whole football team for that matter. But just got to be better finishers than we were on Saturday. Some bright spots. We punted the ball well, punted it a lot, and we punted it well, and we cut down the penalties. We had a concerted effort to not be as penalized as we were the week before. We were 2 for 10 yards, so that was a big positive. But other than that, it was a rough day, and again, Tech has done a really good job of assembling that roster and putting it together. And as I mentioned, they're well coached, and they are a really good football team and very deserving of whatever they're ranked this week. And time to move on. We got West Virginia on the road. It's obviously an East Coast road trip, so we'll leave on Thursday, a day early with a 3:30 kick. If it would have been a night kick, we probably would have just gone out Friday, but a little bit crowded when the kickoff's at 3:30. So we'll take off Thursday and get to West Virginia then. And Rich Rodriguez, excellent football coach, known Rich for a lot of years. Really had it going at Arizona there, and really good offensive mind, outstanding offensive mind. And I got no doubt that he's going to get that program where he wants it and where he had it before when he was there last time around. He did an outstanding job. So got to bounce back, like I said. Got to have a great week of practice. 24-hour rule. You lick your wounds for 24 hours, and then it's time to get back after it and put your head down and go to work. So questions?
All right, we'll start with Justin.
Okay.
According to the broadcast team on Saturday, Texas Tech spent half their week during practice teaching how to punch the ball out. Do we teach to safeguard against this practice, and how much time do we allocate to this?
We do definitely teach ball security is what we call it, and we have ball security drills every day. And we also teach stripping the football on defense. That's a staple, one of the things that we've worked on forever. And so we absolutely do it. And if you say how much time do you spend on it, probably about 10 or 15 minutes exclusively, and then every drill you do, it encompasses that as well. Anytime you're in team situations or going offense against defense, you're working on protecting the football offensively and stripping it on defense. So, yep.
Kyle, in the last part of the Wyoming game, it seemed like Devin Dampier was limping a little bit. How much was his health, or what was his health like last week, and how much did that impact him against Texas Tech?
Well, he was doing the best he could. Wasn't able to practice Tuesday or Wednesday, a little bit Thursday. I'm going to tell you that it definitely impacted Devin. But if you're out there, you got to get it done. And so we never use that as an excuse.
Whittingham's dressed for the last few games, but he hasn't seen a single snap. What is his status? What does he need to get on the field?
Had a little ball security issue early in the season and through fall camp. He's since corrected that, And so now he just needs to, in this program, you don't play on Saturday unless you get it done in practice. And right now, he has not played at the level he needs to in practice, or I should say he hasn't played better than the guys that are playing ahead of him. And so as long as he keeps working hard and continues to improve, then he'll, most likely get a shot somewhere down the line. But nothing is given to you in this program. You got to earn every bit of it.
Kyle, you said after the game that there were moments where they kind of reminded you of last year.
Yeah.
I guess now that you're at this point, how do you, I guess, keep this team from spiraling into what happened last year? And are you confident of that not happening?
I'm very confident that this team is not going to allow that to happen. That's just their attitude, their competitiveness. Now, last year's team was competitive too and had a great attitude, but we've got a lot of things going for us. We just had an off day offensively, and again, Texas Tech had a great deal to do with that, as I mentioned. But we've got really good leadership on this team, and we just got to keep people healthy, and that was really the situation last year, and so assuming that we won't have a run of bad luck like we did then, but we'll be back. I mean, everyone, you play on a Saturday, and 200 teams play, or however many there are, and half of them lose, and you got to be able to handle it and bounce back, and so that's the situation we're in now.
Looking back on the film, the inability to follow the receivers downfield outside of Brian Davis and short throws, more of a separation issue? They're not able to get separation? Was it the Texas Tech coverage, or was it just the game plan that didn't allow for that to happen?
No, it wasn't the game plan, and we did. We hit Benny on the one, and of course got it called back, and so that was one that we had Tobias Merriweather wide open on one and missed the throw. Partially, their coverage, negated a lot of the opportunities as well. They were in good position most of the time. Ryan Davis did, like you said, have another good day with his possession type receptions. He's 10 for 70, so he was productive. But and I've said it before, we've got to be able to do a better job of pushing the ball down the field, and we had some things dialed up, but between the penalty and overthrow and just not connecting on a couple. We also got a PI in our favor on one of the deep shots, and so, but we got to do better at that. That's one of the, if you were to say what is lacking in the offense right now, that's probably at the top of the list.
Kyle, just to follow up on that, in the run game, when you were struggling to run the ball, was that a case of their guys winning one-on-one battles, or are they stalling out a little bit to stop the run? They go in +1 in the box,
No, they played primarily split safety looks, which is not a +1 box situation, and so it was more in hindsight. We were running too lateral. We got to get more downhill. We should have run more downhill run game, and not so much side to side. And that's something that in our self-critique was something that was an error on our part.
How do you feel about the team's tackling ability, and how do you kind of clean that up?
Yeah, we had our worst tackling day, 23 missed tackles, which for us is way too many, more than double what we should have. They had some really good backs. I know their top back is out for the season, I guess, but the backs that did play were good and created some of those missed tackles. Also missed some tackles on the quarterback. By the way, I was really impressed with their backup quarterback. He's a heck of a player. We probably wish the starter would have never gone out, but he's a good player too. But the backup came in and really did some damage on us. But that tackling is something that we pride ourselves on. We work on it every week. This week will be no different. And we were very sloppy in that regard last week. Very sloppy.
Kyle, from last year to this year, there are about 5 fewer attempts over the middle of the field for Devin Dampier. Is that a point of emphasis in the game plan to get the ball more to the sideline than attacking the middle of the field?
No, I don't believe so. Jason has never conversated with me about that and saying, hey, let's stay away from the middle of the field. So no, I don't. It's a good question. I'll ask him. I'll say, what's the deal there? So we'll go from there.
Kyle, you mentioned that Dev didn't practice 2 times last week. Is there any concern that that's going to be long-term, something that will nag at him, and just walking through that?
Yeah, we hope not, but again, we never discuss injuries here other than the injury report. So, we'll just have to see how it goes. I think he's in a better place. Well, I know he's in a better place right now on Monday than he was last Monday, so that bodes well.
At times it felt like Texas Tech was, going directly at Nate Ritchie due to, poor tackling and stuff that he's had. He had team high 6 missed tackles. How do you think that he needs to improve now that he will be, seeing a lot more increased reps with Rabbit out?
Well, he's got to come to balance better. He's getting back what we call sitting in the chair. He's back on his heels a little bit, so he's got to be better with his body position and balance. Also got to keep his head up, and that's a product of your arms. When your arms go out, your head drops, and so there's a few things technically there that we can help him clean up. And the positive is he's all around the ball. He's always around the ball. I don't know if you can say they were going at him directly, but he's so instinctive and has such a good feel for the position that he studies film. Like as well as anybody we've ever had. So that's gonna, and by virtue of the nature of his position, like I said, the safeties are big time tacklers in our scheme, especially the strong safety. So, but there is some things technically, like I just mentioned, that we can help him with, and that seem to be have made his tackling not as efficient as it should be.
Obviously had a lot of different players contribute in the run game, especially with Wayshawn and Gary splitting reps essentially. Is there any consideration moving forward of making one of those guys that, or is it what's kind of your thought process?
Yeah, I would like to see that play out where we have a lead back, but right now through the first 4 games, this hasn't been a ton of separation. Nakari's maybe a little bit better in short yardage, more efficient, and Wayshawn's a little more of a home run back, able to rip off the big run. But they're both good football players. But ideally, it would be nice to have one come to the forefront and become RB1. But as long as we're getting the production. But in the last game, we did not get the production. The overall production was nowhere near. We barely rushed for 100 yards, and I think 25 or 30 of those yards were on those last 3 or 4 garbage snaps inside of 2 minutes. So in competitive situation, we only rushed for about 70 yards, which is it's tough to win. It's really tough to win doing that.
West Virginia's coming off a blowout loss. They've had some ups and they've had some downs. What do you see from them? They're going to be fired up in Omaha.
Yeah, they will. I've never been to Morgantown, but I understand it's a great place to play, and they get great crowds. I guess it holds about 60, and they're getting close to that. Rich Rod is a really good offensive coach. He's got great schemes. They've had a little bit of musical chairs with the quarterbacks. They played 3 of them in the Kansas game, and so I think that they're still not quite settled on the quarterback. And then their top back didn't play against Kansas last week. The big kid, number 2, I think it is. And so, but he's we faced him plenty of times. Not only at Arizona, when he was at Michigan, and so we know what he brings to the table offensively, and we're gonna have our hands full. And like you said, they'll be fired up, and they're coming off a loss like us, and when you're coming off a loss, you're hungry, and so we're gonna get their best shot.
Kansas won that game pretty definitively. It was 41-10. Where did they really take it to West Virginia, and is there something that you can do to do the same thing and copy that to West Virginia?
Well, I've only studied West Virginia's offense to this point. Tonight's the night I delve into their into the defense, and so I'll have a better answer for you tomorrow if you want to ask that same question. But I know that defensively, West Virginia was that 3-3-5. They're a high pressure outfit, over 50% pressure, and so I don't know if they just beat some of their blitzes or what. But I've spent the last 36 hours focusing on West Virginia offense.
Kyle, Devin has talked a lot about understanding the value of this program to the community here. Can you talk to sort of his mindset and your belief in him in terms of addressing some of the issues in the passing game, specifically this week?
Yeah, well, believe in him completely, and he's without a doubt our quarterback, and can't panic off one game that was not up to par. And again, we already talked about another reason why that may have been, but he's a guy that really is tuned in. He's got a great awareness. He understands that Utah football has got a pretty good reputation here in this town, and we get great support from our community, and that's a motivating factor to lay it on the line for him and play our best football. But I don't think one subpar game it's fair to judge him off that. The first 3 games he was pretty darn good.
Jason, here'll be a final question.
Kyle, you mentioned after the game that you were surprised that you guys lost at the line of scrimmage. Now that you've watched the tape, have you been able to pinpoint anything that went wrong that you can fix?
Excuse me. Yeah, It was what I mentioned, running sideways too much. We as coaches should have done a better job of giving our guys the opportunity to come off the ball and run downhill more. That definitely would have helped our cause in our estimation. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Till we meet again.